Ever since I became a coaster enthusiast, it was a dream of mine to travel internationally for roller coasters. Earlier this past summer, I made that dream become a reality and went on the biggest trip of my life to Europe. On this trip, I traveled through Denmark, the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, and Austria, hitting up 22 individual parks and riding 125 individual coasters. Today, I'm going to go over my top 10 favorite parks that I've visited in Europe and give a brief review over each of them. Keep in mind, this is strictly my opinion. If you disagree, good for you. Feel free to make your own YouTube video and explain your top 10 favorite parks in Europe. Do it while we still have freedom of speech. Now, before we travel across the pond, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Drop a like on the video while you're at it. Helps me out greatly against the YouTube algorithm. ist zurückgekehrt. Was willst du?
Hallo, wie geht's, Ryan? Ich bin dein alter Freund, der YouTube-Algorithmus.
Ich habe keine Zeit für dich.
Dieser YouTube-Kanal gehört mir.
Oh, ich glaube nicht. Verpiss dich.
Ja. Scheiße. Es tut mir leid.
Du hast Gesicht wie ein Pferd.
Wie bitte?
Number 10, Wiener Prater in Vienna, Austria. This may be a little controversial to have on a top 10 list like this, but here's why I have it on this list. This park is really like a permanent fair, right in the heart of Vienna. I absolutely loved the vibes in this park. It was somewhat sketchy, but I got a kick out of that. There's also just so much to do here. A large collection of unique flat rides, a decent coaster lineup, and countless haunted houses. Seriously, I've never seen a park with this many haunted houses before. I did 2 of them while I was there, and they were by far the best haunted dark rides I've ever done in my life. Their newest coaster, Wiener Looping, was a lot of fun. Fits in perfectly with this park. It was also awesome to ride Olympia Looping, which is the world's largest traveling coaster. Wiener Prater is by no means the prettiest looking park, but I just enjoy the vibe here and the large variety of rides. I do wish the park did offer some kind of all-day ride pass. This park is not cheap. While general admission is free, you do have to pay per ride, and there is currently no all-day ride pass offered, and all the rides are cash only. There are a few ATMs throughout the park, but the surcharge is a little ridiculous on those. So word of advice if you visit this park, come with a lot of cash already. Expect to spend about $200 here. It's a huge tourist attraction in the heart of Vienna. Nothing is going to be cheap here. Number 9, Djurs Sommerland in Denmark. This park was very pretty, and the staff here were great. Super friendly and interactive, and all of them spoke very good English, and were very accommodating to my very little knowledge of Danish. The ride lineup here isn't anything too spectacular, but a solid lineup nonetheless. The premier ride here being Piraten, an intimate megalite coaster, being the only one of its kind on this side of the world. There's also 2 very underrated family coasters here, with Draga Konga and Juvelin. Draga Konga is a very rare intimate suspended family coaster, with a very surprising beginning, and Juvelin, an intimate straddle coaster, is by far the best one that I've ever been on. Juvelin is surprisingly intense and has an awesome rapid-fire layout for a family coaster. Djurs Sommerland has a very laid-back and chill vibe to it, which was very nice being the last park of this massive Europe trip. There were a few very well-themed areas throughout the park too, and the rides in each area worked great with those themes. One interesting thing that I realized about this park recently is that this park has never had a coaster that goes upside down. Number 8, Walibi Belgium. This park really surprised me for how well themed the overall park was, as well as the rides. I wouldn't say it was the best theming out there, but much more than I was expecting. The ride operations here were very good, and the staff were very nice here. My only critique about the park is that it really only has one standout attraction, being Conda. Don't get me wrong, Conda is a damn good coaster, even being in my top 10 coasters overall. But I feel like this park really needs a second standout coaster to be ranked any higher for me. Conda alone makes this park worth visiting, but it would be nice to have a second coaster to come here for also. Their new Gerstlauer family coaster, Mechalodon, was also a lot of fun. Number 7, Walibi Holland. I know many coaster enthusiasts would rank Walibi Belgium over Walibi Holland, but I gotta give Holland the upper edge here. The ride lineup is much stronger at Walibi Holland. While the theming at this park isn't quite as good as Walibi Belgium, there's still decent theming throughout the park that's worth applauding. I'd say the standout attraction here is Untamed, the RMC hybrid coaster. This is easily my favorite mid-size RMC. I guess the only other standout attraction here would be Goliath, which was very solid in itself for its age. Yoi is their newest attraction, a dueling RMC single rail coaster. This coaster was a lot of fun, but I wouldn't call it a standout coaster for this park. The dueling aspect of these coasters is the biggest redeeming factor of it. Each side standing by itself will just be okay, nothing too special. But seeing these 2 coasters duel is very eye-catching, and the presentation of these coasters is great. So while Walibi Holland may not have an elite coaster like Walibi Belgium does, I feel like there's a better variety of coasters here. Untamed takes the lead here, supported by Goliath, Yoi, Lost Gravity, and Express Platform 13. Number 6. Hyde Park. To be honest, the first half of my day here wasn't the greatest. Nearly every coaster was running on one train, and it was pretty busy that day. But most of the coasters did add a second train about halfway through the day, and that really helped reduce the lines. This park is very well themed, and has a pretty setting along a lake. Colossus, the original intimate prefab wooden coaster, is easily the star of the show here. While it's not quite as good as El Toro, it still surprised me how good it ran. The middle portion of the ride was a little bit of a buzzkill, but the first half and the finale were great. Flug der Dämonen and Desert Race are great supporting coasters here. Flug der Dämonen is a B&M wing coaster, and Desert Race being an intimate accelerator coaster. Desert Race really surprised me. The launch was very punchy, and the layout gives surprising airtime, despite staying low to the ground, and visually doesn't look like it does too much with forces. But it definitely delivered. Big Loop, Krake, and Bob-on weren't bad either. Decent smaller coasters to support the park's lineup. This was my first park in Germany, and I had a few chances to use my German a few times here with the staff and other guests, so that was exciting to do for the first time on the trip. One interesting thing about this park that I originally wasn't all too excited about was that the park closes somewhat early at 5 p.m., but the pathways stay open to the guests until 6 p.m., so you can walk around the park an hour after everything closes. This ended up being pretty neat and relaxing, and I actually really like that they do that. Just something that you don't see all too often. Number 5. Beroep Sommerland. While this park doesn't have the biggest lineup, the vibes at this park were everything. I've never experienced a park with this kind of setting and vibe. The majority of the park is in the woods or works with the natural terrain around it. Also, there was no music playing throughout the park. It was very quiet and very relaxing here. The only area in the park with music was the main entrance. The rest of the park really felt like a public nature park with rides. The staff here were probably some of the nicest staff I've ever seen at any park. Every ride operator here seemed like they genuinely enjoyed seeing the guests having fun. One interesting thing that I noticed at this park is that when a train returns to the station, and if the guests ask for one more ride, in Danish of course, they would send the train again. Even if there were guests waiting in line, they'd still do this. The park was dead on the day I was there, so I didn't really mind that. And of course it was cool when I was on that train that got sent a second time. I'm not sure if they do this all the time, or if they only do it when the park is dead. If you know, let me know in the comments. But I wasn't in a rush that day, so I didn't mind it. I got everything done in this park in about 3 hours. Phonics is easily the star of this park, being one of, if not the smoothest coaster that I've ever been on. Seeing that there is a wave of new age Vekoma coming to the US, I hope that we get more coasters like this over here. While Phonics is not the biggest coaster, it's action-packed and executes all of its elements perfectly. Linnet and Falcon are solid supporting coasters for this park, along with Saben, Orkanen, and Flaggermusen as solid family coasters. If I'm ever back in Denmark, I would make it a priority to come back to this park. It's a smaller park, but the setting here was everything to me, and so was the nice staff. This is a park I would highly recommend to anybody traveling in the area for amusement parks. For the last 4 parks on this list, all of them I had very high expectations for them, and all of them completely blew me away. So I may be a little bit repetitive in saying that for each one, but seriously, I mean that. These parks were just so good that I cannot stress how blown away I was from them. Number 4. Erlebnispark Tripsdrill. Germany's oldest operating theme park certainly blew away my expectations. Every ride and coaster here tells a story, which thankfully I was able to catch on to a lot of it, knowing a fair amount of the language, and having Fabian as our tour guide for the day. Speaking of which, follow him on Instagram. Seriously, he takes some of the best photos in the coaster community, and he's a super nice dude. Give him a follow. While this park's coaster lineup is a little bit small, the theming and storytelling here makes up for it. I'd say Hals über Kolb was my favorite coaster here, a Vekoma suspended throw coaster. This coaster pulled very surprising forces while being graceful and a lot of fun. There are a lot of cool interactions with its surroundings and with Voldamp, a family boomerang coaster that even goes inside of the station for Hals über Kolb. Karajo and Mahmoud were also great coasters. Karajo had some surprises up his sleeve, including the best animatronic ever for a coaster. Mahmoud was surprisingly good and a lot of fun, gave decent pops of airtime, and was rather smooth. There's also a fair amount of flat rides here, and other things to do. Also, there's large grass fields in the middle of the park, where guests can have a picnic and just relax. I'd never seen anything like that at a park, and I thought that was really cool. Tripsdrill really had a special charm to it that I absolutely adored. I really hope to return to this park sometime in the near future. Number 3. Efteling. While Efteling may not be on the top of this list, this is by far the park that surprised me the most on this trip. I didn't know all too much going into this park. All I knew was that it was very well themed and a beautiful park. I quickly learned that was a huge understatement. Despite being a park that's more oriented to families, Efteling is really one of the best theme parks in the world. The attention to detail everywhere you look is impeccable. Every ride and coaster here tells a story. There are so many little details in the theming and storytelling that you really need to ride everything more than once to catch everything. The coaster lineup here isn't the strongest, but that isn't really the focus of this park. That being said, the coasters that they do have are still a lot of fun and are all themed to the max. Baron 1898 has a very cool pre-show that continues on into the ride itself. The star of this park, in my opinion, is Dance Macabre, an intimate dark ride. I knew close to nothing about this ride going into it. It is easily one of the best dark rides in the world. I've never seen a ride system like this, and the theming throughout the ride is mind-blowing. As the ride went on, more and more surprises popped up. There were a few rides and things at this park that I sadly didn't have time to do. My biggest regret is giving this park only one day. You really need 2 days here. The Fairy Tale Forest, I'm told, was one of the biggest things that I missed out on, and I'm kicking myself for not checking that out. I'll be making that a priority next time I visit. For anybody visiting Europe for parks, this park should be very high on your priority list. For the last 2 in this list, I've gone back and forth as to which one landed where. These 2 parks really could switch with each other at any time. But as of now, number 2, Phantasialand. When it comes to complete and total immersion, no park in the world does it better than Phantasialand. This park teleports you into an entirely different world, and the outside world completely disappears. While being a smaller park, you absolutely need at least 2 days at this park to do everything. It was a holiday on the day that I visited, so it was pretty busy, and I wasn't able to ride everything, sadly. Fly is one of the best coaster experiences in the world. It may not be my number 1 coaster overall, but as an overall experience with the theming and the flying sensation on this coaster, there's no better experience on a coaster in my opinion. And I'm saying that having only ridden it once. Terran is fantastic too, more so of a family thrill coaster, but it's still action-packed, and the immersion is second to none. The ride operations here were fantastic, the staff were amazing, so many amazing food options, and every inch of this park is themed to perfection. Of all the parks that I visited in Europe, this is the park that I am the most eager to come back to. One day at this park was nowhere near enough time. Number 1, Europa Park. It's really hard for me to put into words how amazing this park is, so I'll do my best. This is like Busch Gardens Williamsburg, on steroids times 100. Many more European countries and areas are represented in this park and are all themed perfectly. I have to put Europa Park a little bit over Phantasialand, simply because of the stronger ride lineup. The park is also overall much bigger and more grand. I would say the level of theming is better at Phantasialand, but Europa Park is pretty damn close, while being a much bigger park. Every corner of this park is themed to some degree, and it's just simply an absolutely beautiful park. I'll never understand how Busch Gardens Williamsburg gets the most beautiful park in the world year after year. Europa Park is one of the few parks that I think blow Busch Gardens Williamsburg out of the water in that department. Europa Park is also owned by the Mach family, the oldest operating roller coaster manufacturer, dating all the way back to 1780. This park is Mach's playground. They often build prototypes of the new ideas to show the world what their prototype is capable of. The most notable being the newest coaster, Voltron Rivera. This is a prototype Mach Striker coaster, and in my opinion is the most complete and perfect coaster in the world. Voltron does everything that anybody could ever want in a coaster, while being themed to perfection. I had 3 days at Europa Park. I originally only had 2 days planned here, but I altered my trip to make a 3rd day happen here because I love the park that much. I could have done a 4th day here if the trip would have allowed it. Europa Park is the best theme park in the world in my opinion. Nothing in the US even comes close to this park. And that's it. Those are my top 10 favorite parks in Europe. Have you been to any of these parks? If so, let me know in the comments what you think of these parks. As a sequel to this video, I'll probably do my top 10 favorite coasters from Europe next. There are still a lot of great parks in Europe that I need to visit. I'm hoping to return to Europe very soon and visit many of those parks, as well as revisit some of these amazing parks on this list. My general thoughts about the parks in Europe compared to the parks in the United States. Parks in Europe are overall much better maintained, operated, and more immersive. While the United States seems to focus more on bigger and more intense coasters, Europe seems to focus more on a better guest experience. Europe's approach is more of what I look for in a great theme park. Massive and high-intensity coasters are great, but personally I would rather have a better overall experience at the park, with immersive theming, friendly staff, and strong ride operations. Something that's very rare to find in the United States. Perhaps we could learn a few things from Europe. Alright guys, I'll wrap the video up here. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next loop.